Line 6 recently announced the launch of the brand new Helix Stadium series. It builds off the original Helix's success and added some new bells and whistles. But where does this leave the OG Helix, as they now call it? Is it still relevant in 2025? After years of gigging, I'll show you why it's still a strong pick for beginners and pros. Welcome to Strums to Stage. I'm Andrew Wink, and I help musicians like you go from players to performers, creators, and leaders in your music scene. In this video, I'll share my real-world experience using the Line 6 Helix LT, explains what makes it a solid choice for musicians in 2025, and share my thoughts on the new Helix Stadium. Let's jump in. I bought my Helix LT used off of Reverb back in 2018. Originally, it was meant to be a backup for my main pedal board at the time, and it was my first foray into digital modeling. But it quickly became my go-to for gigs. The ease of use was a huge game changer compared to my big, bulky pedal board that had a number of pedals on it, and you had to check all the patch cables and make sure everything was plugged in correctly. With the Line 6 Helix, I could just dial in great sounds and save it to a preset. And then at the gig, I just show up, put it down on the floor, plug in a few cables, power it up, and I was ready to rock and roll. As a performer, the less you have to worry about your gear, the more you can focus on your performance, engaging your audience, and really vibing with your bandmates on stage. The Helix LT really helped me stay in the performer mindset instead of stressing about pedal board connections, am I gonna hit the right pedal, all of these questions that will just take you out of that headspace. Whereas with Helix LT, I would have one button to turn on the effects that I needed to on and off, and that was really all I needed. So it was very, very easy to stay in that performer mindset. So when I learned about the Helix Stadium, I was really intrigued. The OG Helix was launched in 2015, so I was wondering when Line 6 was going to launch something new. There are many other platforms on the market, such as the Kemper Amps series and the Quad Cortex by Neural DSP. Both of these platforms have more advanced features and tech than the OG Helix, but also command a higher price tag. So it seemed like these units were marketed towards different marketing segments than the Helix. The Helix Stadium is Line 6's answer to these platforms and has the features and price tag to match. When I watched the launch video and the release live stream, there were three things that got me really excited for this unit. The first is the Showcase automation engine. This allows you to upload song files into the Stadium and split that audio by stems so you can hear different instruments playing at the same time. So you can adjust your levels for your drums, your bass, your guitars. So if you want to take the lead guitar out, because that's the part you're playing, you can absolutely do that. You can bring the bass up, drums down. It's a huge game changer. But what really piqued my interest was the ability to add flags to these audio files. So these flags, as they call it, essentially are markers in the recording that you can set at different places. And then you can automate patch changes within the Stadium. They have a built-in click track, so you can do tempo changes or time signature changes, and even trigger external video and lighting controllers. This allows players to just focus on playing and not have to trigger any other stage production elements, which is amazing. That is the biggest thing for me that's got me the most excited. The Stadium units also have a significantly smaller form factor than the OG Helix. The OG Helix, the flagship unit, is really, really big. And even my Helix LT unit is pretty big and a little cumbersome to travel with. Both the Stadium and the Stadium XL are at least 30% smaller than the Helix LT, which makes travel so much easier with the unit. Traveling light without sacrificing power or features is a huge game changer for traveling and touring musicians. The Stadium also adds improved hardware and software routing. It has additional hardware inputs and outputs from the Helix, but it also adds a really cool matrix mixing system. What this is essentially software routing for the different outputs on the Helix Stadium. So you can have one mix of your guitar sound, your playback tracks, your metronome, and anything else that you have plugged into the Helix. You can have one mix going out of your XLR outputs, another mix going out your 1/4-inch outputs, another mix coming out your USB. This just adds so much versatility for professional musicians that have pretty intricate stage setups and need to send audio to different places. So that has me really, really excited for this unit. But where does this leave the original Helix? In my opinion, it's still absolutely worth considering, especially for beginners or anyone looking for a budget-friendly, reliable digital modeling unit. And here's three reasons why. Reason number one, it's affordability. Line 6 has dropped the sales price for the OG Helix units, so with the Stadium priced at $1,800 and the Stadium XL priced at $2,100, The Helix LT and other OG Helix models are now more accessible than ever. Reason number 2, their versatility and reliability. You get a ton of flexibility both in the hardware and in the software of the OG Helix units. Line 6 offers many different hardware choices to suit your needs. From the compact HX Stomp to the rack-mounted Helix, you have many different choices to choose from to suit your needs. The software also gives you dozens of amp and pedal models to choose from, so you really have nearly endless options to really tweak your sound and make it your own. In all my years gigging with the Helix LT, the only real stage issues I had were external, such as when the stage loses power. In one of my early shows with the gig, I was playing with the Helix plugged into a power strip on the front of the stage, and the end of that power strip ran all the way back to the stage, kind of near where our drummer was playing. So my drummer sat up from he was off of a song, and then he came back onto the kit and he was ready to play. And then all of a sudden I looked down at my Helix and I'm like, what? There's completely no power. I called a friend over to the sound guy, and the sound guy came over. He realized there was no power at the strip, and then we pointed around directly to where the drummer was standing. So the drummer had kicked out the cable, and that was an easy fix. Third, and probably most importantly, Line 6 is going to continue to support and update the OG Helix. For now, Line 6 says they will continue to update and support the OG Helix, which makes sense right now as the stadium gets up and running. And the stadium will launch with limited amp models. I believe it's 16 guitar amps and 4 bass amps. So those amps will be developing and growing over time. So it makes sense for them to support the OG users, of which there are a great many. I'm unsure how long they will continue this level of support, but I imagine it will be for a long while as the stadium gets up off the ground. I'm not sure how long they will continue this level of support, but I imagine it will go on for a long time, given the popularity of the OG Helix and the time it will take for the stadium to grow and build to that point. I only have one trade-off that I've encountered with my Helix LT. The built-in expression pedal stopped working after years of use. My research indicates that this could be a ribbon cable or some other hardware issue in the unit, and others have encountered the same issue, but I personally don't use my expression pedal much anymore, so I've just left it alone and I've been totally fine. In conclusion, if you're just starting out with digital modelers or you want a dependable, easy-to-use rig for gigs, the Helix is still a fantastic choice. If you have questions about the OG Helix or the new stadium, drop them in the comments. I love helping musicians find the right gear for their journey. If you found this video helpful, hit the like and subscribe button for more tips on performing, creating, and building your music business. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.